Hello again. It has been a crazy time of travel for me. I was in Charleston, South Carolina 2 weeks ago, and before that I was in Nebraska. And next week I will be in Atlanta for a conference, and the following month I will be in Miami for another conference. So it's kind of like, with the exception of Nebraska, I'm just kind of starting with Charleston and making my way down the East Coast. And right after Charleston, I did go to Northern Ireland for a week. So I'm a little bit jet lagged, and I don't know that I'll be fully recovered before I need to be jet lagged again for Atlanta. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'll be doing in Atlanta. I'm going for the TYA USA National Festival and Conference. TYA USA is an abbreviation for Theater for Young Audiences, United States of America. And it is the national organization for Theater for Young Audiences, part of the larger international organization called ASITEJ, and I don't remember what it stands for, but basically it's the International Theater for Young Audiences organization. So basically next week, different companies and individuals from around the country that work on, create, produce theater for young audiences will be gathering at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta to do what you do at a conference. There's going to be keynote speakers, there's going to be seminars, breakout groups. I will actually be performing a song from Gold, the Midas musical, as part of a TYA Song Slam. And it's really an opportunity to network, meet people, discuss topics that are pertinent to the Theater for Young Audiences movement. So I'm pretty excited. What I'm not excited about is the potential for hot, humid weather. It looks like it's going to be in the 80s, which isn't the worst, but I don't do so well in humidity. So a question that sometimes comes my way is, should you, if you are an individual artist, be attending conferences? Whether that be for TYA USA or TCG, which is Theater Communications Group, a more broad theater service organization for the nation. That's the conference I'll be going to in Miami in June, or even local theater service organizations. Here we have Theater Bay Area, and I know for different regions there's like a conference for theater in the South, a conference for theater in the Great Plains, and conferences cost a lot of money, especially if you have to pay for a flight and lodging and food, and you have to figure out whether it fits with your schedule. So it is kind of a commitment to go. So I never tell people, yes, you absolutely have to go. I encourage people to look at where they are in their career or their theater making journey and decide if a conference aligns with their goals. You might be in a place where you have a few theater productions under your belt and you'd like to get them produced nationally. Going to a national theater conference isn't a bad idea. You have to keep in mind that it is about building these relationships. Not that it doesn't happen that somebody meets you and says, oh my goodness, I love your work, I would love to produce it. But it might just take some time. Maybe what they can offer is a reading. Maybe they just know who you are, so 2, 3, 4 years down the road, they remember the interaction they had with you. And I would say if that seems worthwhile to you, and you look at your budget and your schedule and you can afford to go to a conference, then it is definitely worth it. So I've kind of been talking around the whole conference thing, but I guess to lay it out, here are some benefits to going to a conference. Like I've already mentioned, you will be meeting some amazing people, and not just people who can move your career forward, but you will be meeting like-minded people. And I kind of try to not put pressure on myself to meet as many people as possible, but rather try to meet 3 like-minded people. You're not going to connect with every single person, and people don't really like the artificiality of connecting. Like if you only seem interested in somebody because they are a particular artistic director of a company and they can help you get your play produced, people can smell that. People can tell. So it really has to be about who is a like-minded individual, or you might say a kindred spirit, that would get you, get me, that we could have a dialogue and connect. So when I go to conferences, I really look at trying to connect with 3 individuals on that level. If it ends up being more, that's great, but I also don't put pressure on myself to have connected with 15 ADs and 15 literary managers because I need to get my name out there. That's just too much work, and the conference setting is so, there's so much going on at a conference that you also want to be sure you take the time to rest, take the time to really soak in what's being said. On that note, another benefit of the conference is you get to be part of a larger dialogue about the art form. When you go to these conferences, you get to participate in conversations around representation, equity, diversity, and inclusion, experimentation, moving the art forward, social connection, education, different ways people are innovating in theater. So if any of that interests you, it really is a devoted time and place for you to have those conversations. I also think the conference atmosphere of kind of being away from your normal day-to-day opens up different things in your brain, so you might even find new creative ideas popping up just because you're in a completely different context and being stimulated by all these people, some who are new and some who you may already know, but who are sharing their ideas and thoughts. You never know where your mind might go. So those are some really tangible benefits, I think. And if you just can't afford it or can't take the time to do that, careful not to fall into too much FOMO, because you can be doing that where you are. There are folks around you who are like-minded, who want to create the theater that you want to create. Now, depending on the area that you live in, you might have to travel farther. I'm lucky to be in the Bay Area, where there's just a pretty hefty, sizable theater community here. I don't know what it's like in other regions, but find your people, find your tribe, and you don't need to fly out to a conference to do so. In fact, it might even be more beneficial because you're finding people who live near you rather than connecting with people around the country who then would be harder to collaborate with or connect with moving forward. Try to seek out the theater service organization that might be serving your area and see what they're doing to push dialogue around important issues. So I guess all in all, it's kind of like the advice that I have received around grad school for theater. It is absolutely a benefit to go to grad school, but it also costs a lot, and you can find your own way without grad school. And so I think conferences are very similar. As a final thought, a lot of these conferences do offer funding or a scholarship that you can apply for. So be sure to look into that. If the money is the only thing holding you back, look at what options you have. And it's not even just the conferences themselves. There are organizations that provide grants that get you to conferences, arts organizations, theater organizations that try to help artists who do not have funds get the funds to go. So do some research, dig deep, and regardless of conference or no conference, be empowered to find your own way through theater. I am not sure yet if I will be vlogging from Atlanta, given how crazy my schedule is, although I think it would be cool to take some footage and upload that. But regardless of what kind of video I'll be posting, I will see you next week.